let's talk a little bit more about ratios today. So we talked about in our last video that ratios are a comparison of two different quantities, two different amounts of something. We can write three different kinds of ratios, okay? So there's three different kinds. One kind of ratio is part to part. Another way we could write a ratio would be part to whole, or we could write a ratio whole to part. So I'm going to talk about what each of those mean. All right, so I have a couple of items here. I have these little pom-poms we're going to use today. I was working on a Christmas craft, so I have my red and my green and left over. All right, so here, let's talk about part to part. So looking at these, let's say I have three different colors here, but what if I wanted to know the ratio of red to green? Okay, what if I wanted to know the ratio of red to green? I'm going to grab my different colors here. What if I wanted to know my ratio of red to green? Okay, so I'm going to count out. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red. Oops, 5 red. My 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green. So my ratio of red to green is 5 to 7. Part of my group is red. Part of my group is green. So this is where I'm talking about part to part. I'm taking the different parts and I'm going to write a ratio going with that. What if I wanted to know part to whole? Part to whole. Well, that would be, what if I would be asking me to find a ratio here of my, what is the ratio of red to all the pom-poms? Okay, so I want to know the ratio of my red pom-poms to all the pom-poms, right? So that ratio, I would count my reds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's still 5 reds, but then I'm going to count my total amount. So my 5 reds, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 16 pom-poms all together. So my part is my 5, right? My red ones to all of them is going to be 5 to 16. So my ratio of my part, which is the 5 red, to all of the pom-poms, the whole, all of them, is 16. So that ratio is 5 to 16. Okay, and then the last type of ratio is whole to part. Whole to part. Run out of space here. Whole to part, which again is kind of like our part to whole, but again we're going to reverse the order. My whole is still 16. So what if I wanted to know the ratio of pom-poms to white pom-poms? All right, so my ratio of pom-poms to white pom-poms. All right, so again, all of my pom-poms were 16, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4 white ones. So my ratio there would be 16 to 4, or I could write it 16 to 4, or I could write it as a fraction, 16 over 4. So those are the 4 different types of ratios: part to part, taking to the 2 parts and comparing them; part to whole, taking 1 part and comparing it to all of the items; or whole to part, taking the whole and comparing it to part of the items.